It's time for another restoration project here on my grandpa's trains workbench. As you can see, this is a American Flyer Baldwin locomotive. This one is the later variation with the 5-digit 21801. And this one has had its wheels ran off of it, quite literally. Now, the wheels are still attached, but there is a major problem with this one that has had so many hours of running on it. There is a bit of play in these drive axles, and I can actually rotate them substantially side to side so that when the motor is driving it, they will bind. And that is a problem. On the front truck, they move a little bit, but I can't twist them quite so much. Looks like the screws are already removed on this one, so I'm just going to pull this off. There we have a disgusting looking drivetrain caked with grease. Let's see if the motor runs on this. So if I hold this down in place like it's supposed to be, that's not right. That motor gets hot really quick. So, time to pull this assembly apart. What I'm going to do to this is actually replace this truck casting with a spare, and in this one the axles do not have that kind of excess slop. They don't have any play, or they're not overly worn down. Alright, let's get this motor disassembled. In fact, this motor has had so much time on it, even the drive shaft in the motor has worn down the bushings. I don't have any replacement bushings for the motor, but the motor is okay just enough that I think I can get away with it operating with just replacing the truck casting. If I didn't have a spare casting, I would actually have to rebush these. Well, it would be on the broken one, and by drilling these out and then adding brass bushings, and that is something I really don't want to do. So this is the solution. Now to make sure to not lose that washer, and we can pull our drive shaft is stuck on this end. This end is going to come out. That end is caked and stuck in there. That is a lot of grease. I think this is going to get, well, this I'm not going to have to worry about, but this is going to have to go in the ultrasonic for sure. I'm also going to be taking this spring out of the pickup slot, whatever you call it, so that I can reuse the spring, because the one that was on here was damaged and the spring didn't work. So I'm going to reuse this one and keep it original. Okay, I'm going to put the spring in a safe place. And this, I can go in the garbage. So, yeah, there's actually enough room in these to wiggle it side to side. If you look closely, you can see that it is indeed worn. Whereas on this one, the slots are pretty well straight. I can't twist it and wiggle it side to side. Alright, time to get these parts cleaned up and I'll be back. Alright, the truck parts are back from the cleaner, and if I do say so, this looks night and day better than it did before, where this entire shaft was brown and had lumps of grease all over it. And these axles were coated with probably a more modern synthetic grease or whatever it was. It actually almost looked like anti-seize compound was put on here. It has that silver metallic color to it. Alright. While I was waiting for these other components to dry, I also disassembled and cleaned and oiled the reverse unit because it wasn't changing direction on the motor. Now it does. It's still a little bit laggy, but I think that'll improve a little bit with time. This motor, however, is still in pretty sad shape. These brushes are heavily worn, as you can see. This one is about half gone, which means this motor has had high hours on it. And let's see. But for the most part, it still operates as badly as they ever did, so I'm not gonna discount it too much. Alright, time to begin reassembling these. Make sure you don't lose the thrust washer. On this side, it comes off. On the other side, it's locked in with this other gear. Drop. That's upside down. The worm gear goes toward the top of the frame. Little something like that. Oh, that spins a whole lot better. Yeah, that's much improved. I'm going to oil this right now. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of grease. Not much, because too much grease makes a mess. Okay. New main drivetrain installed. Is install this guy. This I need the spring out of here. So this spring is in good shape, it's not damaged or anything. And then just put this other snap ring on here. Yeah, with the right tools it works no problem. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is just degrease this guy and put it back together after that and see if it runs. We want to oil the axles. I don't really want to grease them because that will gum it up eventually. But we'll put plenty of oil on to help it reduce the wear, since we're going on a white metal bushing instead of brass or something. And we have our newly reassembled drivetrain. There we go. All right, let's apply some power and see what happens. See if this thing will move its own wheels. Oh yeah, it's definitely 100% better than what it was. Motor's still not in the greatest of shape, but I think I can milk it out for just a little while yet. Okay, so I'm just going to add some gear oil on these drive gears to quiet it down. I'm just using gear oil on these plastic gears. I found that on certain plastic gears, if you use too much grease, it actually counteracts and the gears stick. So in certain situations, using gear oil is actually better, I have found. Well, seems to me this engine reminded me that it doesn't want to run because these wheels are caked with dirt. And our pickup on this side I think is okay because these wheels were just cleaned. This side is going to get itself a bath, which means a little more disassembly and a little more cleaning, and then it should operate. Because when I hook up directly to the motor, it runs fine. So that indicates that this pickup truck is. And what's under door number 2? Oh boy, that is some grease. Yeah, I think this was a smart move. This assembly will get pulled. Ooh, that one was tight. Now you know why you don't want to over grease your axles, because yeah. Alright, I will be back when this is done and cleaned. Alright, the front truck assembly has been degreased and reassembled. So now I'm just going to solder on front pickup wire. Remember that when you screw down these screws into this cast light metal, don't over tighten them or you can strip it because the metal is very soft. Alright, it's time for the moment of truth. Let's see if this Baldwin will come to life. I'm going to do a test run without the shell and then I'll put the shell on it. So here we go. Quick. All right, let's put the shell on it and then I'll see if it'll tow a couple cars around. This concludes the restoration of my 21801 Baldwin switcher locomotive that had the wheels run off of it and now has been revived so it can ride the rails once again. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful at all, please leave a comment and a thumbs up, and if you haven't, please subscribe as well. And thanks for watching.